Hello, people. Welcome to another exciting episode of Biz Dev Life. And this episode, we're actually starting it up a little bit, where we're adding video to it so that our followers can actually see what we're doing on YouTube and any video channels they're watching from, and also get the audio experience of the podcast. And today, experimenting with me, I have Lawrence Agbani. I hope this goes well. To be honest, I hope it goes well. So I have Lawrence Agbani testing with me. He's dropping from Germany, where he's a software engineer. So I will just leave Lawrence to introduce himself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lawrence Agbani. I'm currently a software engineer working in Munich, Bayern, for a firm named Westwing Group. Uh, Basically, what we do is like e-commerce for home and living, and it's been pretty exciting on this side. So, yeah, that's pretty much everything you need to know about me right now.
All right. Okay. We'll ask about more in the future. So let's get a little bit of history of how you got into this industry. I know you've been writing code for quite a while now. So how did you get started? When did you start? What language did you start with? What language do you write now? Let's get a little bit of that.
Hmm. For me, it's there was a breaking, like a start and stop, and then a start again. I started coding in like I started coding professionally in 2015, but before that, I wrote my first line of Java and C sharp code, etc. in 2014, and before that, I had written a small tiny website in 2010. But as at this time, as at this time in 2010, I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know what coding was. I just knew that I was building a website, but I didn't know what was going on. I had no idea. I had no clue. So I really would like to start my story from 2010, or to say my story started from 2010, but then that's not really, for me, it's not really much of it because I didn't know what I was doing. But then in 2010, I wrote the website, and it was because of a need. I was in choir, and then the choir needed. We always had this issue where we came to practice to rehearse, and then everyone goes, "Yo, we cannot download the songs. We were not able to download the songs, and then we'd have to play the song for everyone, and then we have to rehearse and practice together again." It was so much stress. So I thought about it. I asked people around. I was like, "What's the problem? Why can't you download the song?" And everyone went, "We don't know where to download these songs from." And this was 2010, you know. Then we only had, I think 3G was just coming up.
Yeah, we
And
had
then
Edge.
Edge, we had Edge. Edge was the thing. And then everybody just didn't have, and people weren't really internet savvy like that. So they didn't know the sites they could go download songs from. So I just wrote a little utility website that all they had to do was to like type a search term, like this the title of the song, and then I curated a list of websites, music websites on that website, and then I just all I did was when they type their search term, I just appended it to the search term of that
On
site,
that
so
side.
to the search URL of that site. So when you click on search from the little website I wrote, it redirects you to the search
To the
result on
original
that
sites.
website.
All
Exactly. And
right.
then you click on that. But then I didn't know what I was doing. I just got on somebody's site. I saw what they did. I was able to download the entire HTML. I went on HTML. Then there was a site called htmlqueen.com. I went on HTML Queen to understand um, divs and all that stuff, all the HTML stuff and CSS. And then I tried to also understand a little bit around JavaScript, the little JavaScript necessary to make all the drop down and clicks and stuff happen. So that was basically that was supposed to start my career, but then I didn't know what I was doing. Fast forward 4 years ago, or 4 years later, rather, where I would meet a friend in school. As at this time, I was like in 300 level. And this was when I met my friend in school that was a friend with this Google student ambassador, and they had this Google sticker on the door. I was like, this person has Google sticker on the door. They must know something about tech. So I knocked, and then the guy was like, "Oh, he's not the Google student ambassador. He's just some guy." Good Sales Ambassador is on this side, and so on. I was like, okay, um, do you know how to make applications for devices, please? And the guy was like, yeah, I've written an Android app before. I was like, oh my God, you've written an Android app before. Come and teach me how to write this thing. And then that was where everything started, basically. That was in March 2014. I was giving this Head First Android development book by, I think, one O'Reilly book like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started to practice with that. Again, I didn't know what I was doing. It was Java. I was just copying the code from there and pasting it what they call then it wasn't IntelliJ. IntelliJ is
NetBeans.
recent. NetBeans. And I would paste the code, and then you have to setting up the entire Android. The ADT was messed, like it was messed up.
Uh-huh.
It was the most difficult thing ever then. But yeah, it was cool. Ultimately, I was able to get an app running, and over time, by November, I started to understand little stuff about Java interface and so on and so forth. And then in December of that year, I wrote my first certification exam for C Sharp, which you gave me the voucher, which you remember very well. So that was basically how my entire journey started into tech. And it wasn't all easy, but this is just like a summary of how everything started. And then in 2015 March, I got introduced to someone that would basically start my first internship, where I just focused on Android development. And then during that internship, I also learned how to make websites, basically using PHP. And then I also dived into DevOps then, as at that time. Started to provision servers. I was a Microsoft partner at the time, so I had access to Microsoft Azure. So I used the access I had to my advantage. I learned how to provision servers, how to set them up, how to host myself. Basically, I went on an entire experiment, and then there's this popular tool we have for hosting. All hosting sites use them, cPanel or something like
Yeah,
that.
cPanel, yeah.
So I did an entire experiment of installing. I installed the cPanel thingy on a server I provisioned, and then tried to do all the networking and all that stuff. It was crazy. But yeah, this was the period. And 2015 was where everything basically moved forward for me, because that's when I started professionally
Writing
writing
code.
code. So yeah, that's pretty
And
much how my journey
and here
started.
you are today writing and leading e-commerce solutions in Germany. I want to be like you when I grow up.
Please.
All right, so that's a little bit of Lawrence's history. He professionally started writing code in 2015, but of course, wrote a basic website in 2010 for his choir. So majorly, he saw a need and actually made something happen for that, and that is sort of what drives most developers actually creating something for it. For example, I started writing code just because I wanted to know what was behind the programs I was clicking, and here I am today. So it's just that inclusiveness that takes us to where we want to be really. Okay, so
Yeah, for me,
uh-huh.
one thing was also just like you mentioned, like you started writing code because you wanted to know. I also had that. My own was we had this Game Boy games then, and then you could see when you move the player with the up and the down left button, and then the players are moving. I always had this like question in my head, like why, how do you get these players to move, and how does this work? And that's why even before I wrote the first Android app I finished that app in November 2014. The first thing I actually developed was in a hackathon sometime in July 2014, which was a game. I developed a clone of Flappy Bird.
Mm.
And because this was me trying to figure out how people are able to make, these things move, how they are able to apply all the logic and all that stuff. So I developed the Flappy Bird clone there was a competition in Tinapa in Calabar then. Microsoft and the Idea Hub came together to host that competition.
Mm.
Yeah, so I was part of it in 2014, and that's where I think second runners up or something.
Ah,
So
that's
yeah,
nice. All right. Okay. So that's a little bit of history right there. And now let's go into the next section, which is talking about what your typical day looks like as a developer. What does your from waking up to going back to bed? Do you dream of codes at all? How does your day and night look like as a developer?
Ah, for me, dreaming of codes was is something that had gone. Like it has come and gone. Like there were the times for that. This period during my internship period, I used to solve problems in my sleep. You know, a lot. That was a lot. Now it's rare, but then it was like almost every day because I would leave the office with a huge technical challenge or a huge technical problem of like maybe there's a Bluetooth receiver. I need to connect to the Android app and I need to somehow make it to be asynchronous, blah, blah, blah. Lots of things, junk in my head. I go to bed and I'm figuring it out as well. Like all I dream about is code then. Then you wake up and then you're like, yeah, I think I got it. And but these days it's a lot different because not like there aren't more technical challenges anymore, but with practice and experience, a lot of things are a little bit easier. So even if you're having to dream about code, it isn't so much anymore because you know that eventually you're going to figure it out because now you have the tools. Then I think part of why it was much of an issue was because there was this fear, like, can I be able to do this? I need to finish this. How will I be able to achieve this? And that fear was always there. But now with when you have like with knowledge and experience, you have some level of comfort with your skill that okay, no matter how difficult this thing is, I will be able to figure this thing out. Provided we have the documentation, provided we have Stack Overflow, we'll be fine. So
That's
yeah.
the cup of that Stack Overflow eats me.
Yeah, but my regular day right now, at this point, you know how the season is with Corona. I just wake up in the morning. I jump on my the first call. Basically, I wake up to the call every morning, which is the stand up, where we can't really stand up now. Everyone is at home, right? So, but basically, what that means is it's a daily where we talk about what we did yesterday, what we're going to do today, and challenges we faced in doing what we're doing yesterday and potential challenges we might face today. So everyone gets to understand. So this is something we have with regards to uh, the Scrum process. So that's how my day starts. I wake up, I jump on the call, I jump and call my team members, and then we have this conversation. And everyone talks about what they did yesterday, the challenges they faced, who they think is blocking them, and who can unblock them. And then have that conversation with everyone, and then we're fine. Um, and then I jump on the board. If I don't have a pending task from the previous day, I jump on the board to look for what to do because basically we have this board with tasks for the day or for the week. I jump on the board to look for what to do, pick a ticket if I don't have one already, um, check what is required of me. Then I discuss with the PM or the product manager. I discuss with her like, hey, what's up? What do we need here? What's going on this side? And then if there is any other thing I need some input from other people, I go to the other teams, have conversations with them, get to know what they need, talk to my teammates, and then I get to work. So gathering all the info I need when I have everything, I jump on code, and then coding becomes easy because now you understand what everybody wants and you
You
understand
understand
what
all
you
the
have to do. So
requirements.
yeah, you understand what you have to do, so you just write the code, and then you now have problems where which happens sometimes where I can get like some technical issues, maybe some logical problem somewhere. Mostly I'm done. Most of the time I'm done. You've put out the pull request, and then the teammates will be like, oh, but what about why is this logic sitting here? Why don't we have this? Why don't we have that? So it's mostly like business logic for this should be this way, not that way. And I'll be like, oh, but I thought we had a conversation about this. Oh, we forgot. We're sorry. So please, can you change this business logic to do this instead of that? We start having those back and forths, and then after that, pull request gets reviewed, it's approved, it gets merged, and then testing. Go ahead and start testing how the code looks like. If it's fine on stage, and then we're ready for live, we deploy. Um, yeah, that's pretty much how my
And then
day
you
to
repeat
day
the cycle the next day.
will go exactly the next day. Sometimes the next day isn't like this. The next day might be continuation of the previous day if I have a very huge ticket, because there are some times where I'm working on stuff and it's a very like massive requirement. It requires me to write new endpoints, maybe two or three, and for each of these endpoints you need to have tests, right? So you have to write tests. You have to of course, writing code is one thing, writing tests is the other, and then these things take time. So you have to write new endpoints, you need to write create files here, files there. You have to think about how the logic should look like, the best way to write it, all the software engineering practices that you think you know, you have to apply them, and then you don't have to write tests again to test your code before you push it out. Because if the code coverage reduces, everybody's going to shout, etc. So sometimes, because of how much work has to be done, it can take like 2 or 3 days, and you're going on the same, task
Same cycle,
depending on
yeah.
the size of the task. Yeah.
So one thing I noted from your typical day is that you actually work in collaboration with other developers and stakeholders and the software development team. How does that work out for you working with other people on your team? How does that stress you out or make you happy?
So it can stress you out when you need an input from one person and the person is on vacation or the person is just not there. There are some people that they have all the knowledge in their head and they're the only ones that have it. And no matter who you go to meet and you're like, this person's not available, and I heard you're the next best person. Can you help me figure this thing out? And the person goes, meh, I don't know it. You have to wait for that guy. And then you really have to wait for that guy. And, that's a problem. It can stress you at that point because you're blocked now. You can't move forward. And sometimes it's tiring because sometimes you have this mentality that, okay, I should just finish this and move on to the next thing. But now you're blocked. And then the next thing is no longer exciting to go to because this one has already piqued all your interest and you just want to finish it and let go of it, and etc. So that can be stressful. And then it takes some work to now bring your mind out of that entire task to go to something else while that one is blocked. This can be annoying, but it can get exciting whereby you mostly sometimes you don't have to do anything. You just have to talk to people and then everything is already done. Like the entire concept of what you have to do is already there. Like you just talk to this guy, you talk to this guy, talk to this lady, talk to this other person, and then you're all by the time you gather ideas from everyone, you've already the
You're set
task
up
is
for
done. All
success.
you have to do exactly all you have to do is just go and implement it. Because and it's very exciting when you work in a team with other smart people. It's really exciting because all you have to do is just have conversations. Smart people have this ability to always want to talk, like give you ideas. They are excited when you approach them to talk, to get the ideas. So when bros, how far? If you wanted to do this, how would you do it? And see how far you wanted to do this, how would you do it? Oh, I'll do it like this, like that, like that. By the time you listen to everyone, you gather ideas, you're done. There's nothing to do anymore. You just sit down and then implement it in code. And it can be simple and amazing like that. And also can be annoying when you actually need input from someone, like maybe an actual business logic. Like recently we had in my team, we had to implement a new feature for I think our ratings and reviews endpoints, and we needed to call it an external service. And this
Hmm.
external service has
That's gonna be
is not
frustrating.
properly. I know, right? And the external service has only one developer that works on it, and the guy was on vacation. And the documentation, nobody knew where it was. Nobody had a link to the documentation. So I'm like, okay, what responses am I expecting from this service? What request am I even sending to begin with? You don't know what endpoint am I calling, and then we had to like chill and wait for Bros to come back from holiday. It was the most annoying thing ever because now you had other stuff to do. Like you just had to finish that project. There were some other people that are waiting on you. Like we have the apps guys, we have we had other clients that are calling our endpoints, and we cannot serve them just yet. And we are promising them, you know what, this week we're going to kill it. The endpoint will be ready. Yeah.
And
And
something
then
is killing
the
you.
week, I'm telling you, and then the week ends, and then you have to find some excuse and be like, you see, actually, we would have finished or something. And then the next week, Bros comes back from vacation, and then you get it out. So yeah, it can get annoying like that, but also really exciting when you work with smart people.
Hmm. Okay. So does that sort of cover some of the major challenges you face, or are there more that you face in your day-to-day work as a developer?
Mm, really, that pretty much covers everything because most of the challenges I would most likely face in my day-to-day life as a developer would be around technical issues, right? Say, like there's product challenges where you don't have like there's a knowledge gap as to like what this product does, what this client should expect.
Mhm.
Yeah, there are some of those challenges too. Like recently I was working on stuff and like I'm relatively new to the team, so the team I'm working with right now. So like there are some things in depth that I still haven't covered in terms of knowledge. And those things are really not things I should be bothered about, but I should just know them anyway, that there are those kind of stuff. So I got to work on the task on those edge case things that I shouldn't really know about. But now I had to know about them. And the developers couldn't help because these are not things developers know. Like for instance, we basically listen to business requests and write business logic based on that. So asking a developer like, why are we having SKUs that starts with H instead of Y? The developer will be like, what? I don't know.
It ain't my
Because
business.
they can't tell exactly they can't tell you that. So I have, at that point you have to go meet like the product manager or someone that the product owner basically to tell you what the business was thinking when they said, okay, they
When
no
they made
longer
that
want to have
decision.
product SKU starting with H, I want to start with Y. So there are those challenges too, but you see those things can be fixed when you work with the I mean when you have good communication with your product manager, you can have those knowledge gaps filled. And yeah, so pretty much everything I said initially covers my duty because if I have technical challenges, I have smart colleagues and I go meet them and I sit with them and I tell them, oh, you know what, JavaScript is the worst language ever. Why is this happening like this? Why is false changing to true? And then the person would have to have like the person can tell you, okay, this happens, this is the reason why this happens like that, etc. So yeah, pretty much.
All right. Thanks very much for that. And to wrap this episode off, I would want to ask you, give 3 tips. So, if you were to start your software development career over again, what 3 things would you do? They can be a repetition of what you've done or something you will do better. Just give us 3 of those.
Three. That's oddly specific number, but yeah. um, One thing that I would do over and over again is I don't know, people don't really like this, but um, it also shows it can be a two-edged sword, but that ability to always go hard at what you want, like the determination. Like I want to know how to write Java code, and then everything you can do to ensure you get there. So I'll give you an instance. When I started with the Android development thingy, um, I didn't understand Java. I didn't understand object-oriented programming. I didn't know what methods were. I didn't know what function. I didn't know any of these things. So, but there was one thing I was always doing constantly that helped, which was I knew someone that knew it and knew it very well. As a then, I didn't also know what Stack Overflow was. I could Google stuff, but a lot of things you were saying there were too abstract. I didn't understand. So, but there was someone that was there that said he understood these things well enough. I tried to spend as much time as I could with him. You
Mm.
know, at some point, even disturb him, like, Ross, I'm sorry, are you busy? Every time he sees me at his door, Ross, I'm sorry, are you busy? Ross, I'm sorry, are you busy? You know, constantly on his door. And it's, that's why I say it can be a two-edged sword. Some people just take it as this person is just disturbing me. I should just not talk to this person anymore. But if the person is a nice person, they would probably see that as passion and want to help you fuel
Mhm.
it. And that's exactly what the guy did. And he saw passion and helped fuel it. And he for every time I had questions, was always there to answer. He would even give examples, jump on his laptop and show me how the code runs, etc. And these things really helped. So that first one, that determination to go at it, no matter what situation you have or you're going through. I mean, that website I told you I developed in 2010, I didn't do it with a laptop. I did it with a Nokia 5130 Express Music phone, you know, and I didn't have a laptop. I didn't have a laptop till like 2013, which was like a year before I started coding. And that's why I thought I was ready because now I had a laptop. I was like, yes, I'm ready to go at this thing. In 2010, I didn't have a laptop. I didn't have access to one. So I'll use my phone to do it. So how badly do you want it? and that's the question. So I think number one thing should be that determination and that will to go at it. And if you're not really passionate about it, then you most likely might not succeed at it. I think, yeah. And let's see. Another tip I would most likely have would be practice. Practice as much. Some people just take tutorial courses and then chill, or they just listen to people say. Because the thing is, when a teacher or somebody that understands something really cool, like really well, sits with you and tries to explain it to you, it makes perfect sense. You're going to enjoy that moment because you're learning something new. Once the person goes away, right? And then you have to do it again. You realize that everything the person said is most likely not. You can't understand. Like, what is this? I'm not understanding. You try to remember everything the person says and it's going away. So I think what matters is whenever you learn something new, try and practice as much. As in, this is for new people that are trying to get into software. Try and practice. If you learn hello world, yes, practice the hello world as much as possible. Know the syntax, know your syntax, practice the syntax. If you learn loops, know how loops work in depth, practice the loops, try and use many scenarios of loops as much as you can. If you just learn if statements, go at it, do the same thing till you're very good at it. So you just keep practicing till you master it. Because I think one of the challenges I had when I started was I first asked the first question I asked them after looking through like a bunch of code. First question I asked my mentors then was, how do you memorize all these things? How? Like how do you go ahead to like how do you bring these things back again? So the first answer I got was practice. I mean, with practice, everything just comes easily for you. So because the guy I was talking to knew how to write Java, C++, C, he could write Python, he could just basically write everything. So and when he moves from one IDE to the other, I could see him writing different syntaxes. So I didn't really understand what was going on because even the Java I had, I couldn't.
You couldn't figure it
Sometimes I
out.
yeah, sometimes I forgot some syntax, like, how do you manage to store so much syntax in your head? But it is not really, you're not really storing them, you're not cramming them. The thing is, if you practice more often, these things become
Yeah,
natural
it's
to
got
you
muscle
over time.
memory.
Yeah, yeah, just become muscle memory over time, just like any other thing, basically.
Okay, yours one more tip.
Oh, there's still one more tip.
Yeah.
I was trying to escape now. Just allow me to escape. Okay, let me think. Um, I think this one is related to the first one, but I'm just going to say it anyways. Uh, try not to excuses. Excuses are the I think let me use this word that this my friend used to use. Excuses are the tools of the incompetent. I think that's what he said. And don't be incompetent essentially. So and excuses can come in different shapes and sizes. Like someone when people tell me, oh, I don't have steady power supply. I'm like, I did not just have steady power supply now. When I started writing code, I was in Nigeria. I was a student, and student hostels or apartments, we normally don't have light. It's the norm. The norm is you don't have light.
Mhm.
Then you can now decide you and your neighbor or five other neighbors can come together and contribute money and buy one gen, and all of you chook your wire. Our generator suffered, because of us. And when we want to buy fuel too, we have to sort of contribute to buy fuel just to have power supply. So everybody has these challenges in Nigeria. It is so when you now give an excuse that, oh, I don't have light and that's the reason why I'm doing it, it's just an excuse because the truth is every single person that have gotten to the point where they've gotten to today in Nigeria with software engineering most likely went through these same scenarios. But
Mhm.
like I said initially, what really matters is how badly do you want it. So you can be willing to go as hard as you want if you really want it that badly. I didn't have as when I started in 2010. I did not have a laptop. I was able to develop something for people to use, and they used it, and it was working. Um, in 2013 or 2014, when I had my laptop in school, we didn't have steady power supply. I didn't have a generator, but I was busy going every night. I go and sit in someone's room, plug my laptop, do the first Android development thingy. I'll continue like that, and I'll stay in the person's room. Of course, sometimes inconveniencing the person and myself, but I didn't mind because I'm basically trying to fuel my laptop because once the person turns off their generator, most times what they do, they just switch off the generator to chase me away. But as at that time, I know that I have enough power supply to
To
continue,
go the next 2 3 hours.
yeah, to continue exactly before the laptop dies off. So, and it's just how badly you want it. So, as much as people can, they should, try to minimize how much excuses they give for these things, and then just go at it. So, this is one thing I'll tell myself. Even if as much as I do not have so much excuses to give, sometimes I think the only excuse I had when I was learning was mostly I wanted sleep. I just have to sleep right now. Tomorrow I have lectures, I have to sleep. And then that would be the excuse I used to tell myself to close the laptop and then go to bed. But as much as you can minimize the excuses and then put all the effort into it, and you're gonna get there.
Wow, wow, that's a whole lot to dig in. Thanks very much, Lawrence, for coming on this episode of This Day of Life. Me, I have learned from you, even if you don't believe it. I know you won't believe it, but me, I've learned.
I don't believe it.
I know you
I
won't
don't believe it.
believe. That's why I said it first. But me, I've learned, and I'll take those learning into use. So thanks very much, guys and ladies. You've been listening to Lawrence Agbani talk about his life as a software developer, the challenges he faces every day, and how he approaches challenges. And one of the key things he said for folks that are trying to get into this field is be determined, do not try to give excuses, and also practice as much as you can, and you will not regret it actually. All right, so this is it on this episode of This Dev Life. We will catch you again on the next episode. Bye bye.